So, let's talk about empathy. For a long time, it's been seen as, well, a soft skill, right? Nice to have, but not essential. But what if that's completely wrong? Today, we're diving into how empathy is being reframed in Bangladesh, not just as a feeling, but as a powerful, strategic tool for growth. It's this huge shift from leading by the numbers to leading for people.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the matter. The difference between an economy that grows and a society that thrives. That's the choice right there. Are we just chasing numbers on a spreadsheet, or are we building something more? Something that actually lasts because it's built on human connection. And that brings us to this really fascinating idea, the growth paradox. You look at Bangladesh's economy on paper, and wow, the numbers are impressive. But here's the big question. Is all that growth actually trickling down? Is it making life better for the average person? That's the tension we're going to unpack. Okay, so you can really see the two different worlds here. On one side, you've got the old school way of thinking, right? It's all about the numbers. How many garments did we ship? How many contracts did we sign? It's pure output. But then look at the other side. This is a totally different mindset. It's about connection, inclusion, real human growth. It's not just about what you produce, it's about how you produce it. So what happens when these two mindsets collide? Well, you get a turning point. And that's exactly where Bangladesh is right now. You've got these old, top-down leadership styles crashing head-on with the expectations of a whole new generation in the workforce. And, something's got to give. And this clash creates what experts are calling the leadership gap. And listen, this isn't just about managers having a different style. No, it's a deep, fundamental disconnect. You've got this command and control way of doing things, but the workforce today, they're looking for purpose, for connection, for dignity. And if you ignore that, well, in today's global economy, that's not just a mistake. It's a huge risk to your business. It's interesting to see how this all came to be. If you look back, leadership in Bangladesh wasn't always so hierarchical. Think about village elders. Leadership was all about community, consensus, personal relationships. But then the industrial era came along and everything changed. Suddenly, you've got this distance between the decision makers and the workers. So the challenge now isn't about trying to go back in time. It's about taking those old values and figuring out how to make them work in the modern world. So that's the problem. The big question is, how do you fix it? How do you bridge that gap? Well, the answer seems to be putting empathy into action. And I don't mean just as a nice idea, but as a real, concrete strategy. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like on the ground. And just to be super clear here, we're not talking about being sentimental or fluffy. This is about empathy as a cold, hard, strategic business decision. It's a deliberate choice, a tool that leaders can use to build organizations that are way stronger and way more resilient. All right, so let's get into a real-world example. Meet Dr. Mohammed Abdul Moyin. What he does sounds so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. He just walks the factory floor. He talks to his workers directly. He actually listens without judging. Think about the message that sends. It's basically saying, you matter. You're not just a cog in a machine. And that's how you build rock-solid trust. Okay, now let's look at another leader, Professor Momin. He takes that same idea and actually bakes it right into the company's rules. We're talking about things like flexible hours for mothers or help with healthcare for families. And these aren't just little perks, They're a strategic way of saying, we see you. We understand your life outside of these walls. And this is the absolute key point. This stuff isn't charity, not at all. It's a smart investment, a strategic investment. And the return on that investment, you get loyalty, you get better morale, and guess what? You get higher productivity. In an industry that's super competitive, that is a game-changing advantage. Okay, so having a couple of amazing, empathetic leaders is great. But it's not enough to change a whole economy, right? For this to really work, you can't just rely on individuals. You have to build it into the system. It needs to become part of the company's DNA so that it can grow and last, no matter who's in charge. So the big question is, how do you actually do that? Well, it kind of boils down to a three-step blueprint. Step 1, your policies. You have to write rules that actually put people first. Step 2, training. You have to teach this stuff. Make empathy a non-negotiable skill for anyone in management. And step 3, culture. You've got to build an environment where people feel safe to speak up and contribute. But here's the thing. You can do all that, But if you're still measuring success the same old way, none of it will stick. You have to change how you keep score. You have to totally rethink your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Because at the end of the day, what a company measures is what it really, truly cares about. And just look at the difference. The traditional way is all about output, revenue, market share. But the empathetic way, you start measuring things like, are employees happy? Are people sticking around? Does this team actually work well together? When you start putting those things on a scorecard, well, that's when everything really starts to change. And all of this leads us to bust one of the oldest, biggest myths in the business world. This idea that you have to choose. You can either be empathetic or you can be efficient, but you can't be both, right? Well, the whole argument we're looking at today completely flips that idea on its head. This right here, this is the whole paradigm shift. The old way of thinking sets up a battle, empathy versus efficiency, and it uses fear and pressure to get results. But the new reality? It says, no, no, no. Empathy is the foundation of efficiency. Why? Because the results you get from people who trust you and are committed are so much more powerful and sustainable. And if you think about the future, this becomes even more important. I mean, we're heading into a world of remote work, global teams, AI everywhere. How do you build trust when you're not in the same room? Empathy. It becomes the essential currency. It's what makes the difference between just surviving disruption and actually thriving in it. And at the end of the day, this isn't just about making individual companies better. It's bigger than that. This is about how Bangladesh positions itself on the global stage. More and more international partners, customers, investors, they care about this stuff. So when leaders lead with empathy, they're not just building a stronger company culture, they're meeting a global demand. So it all comes down to this one simple but profound choice. A choice for every single leader out there. Are we going to keep leading just for the numbers? Or are we going to start leading for people? And maybe, just maybe, the biggest insight of all is that in the long run, those two things are exactly the same. The answer to that question is what's going to define the future.